Good evening. Welcome. Nice to be with you. So for those of you who don't know, there will be an online meditation retreat September 2nd through 4th. I do hope that you can join. Retreats are a wonderful time to go deep and to awaken to true nature. Retreats are such a wonderful opportunity to truly open up, to give yourself to a life of freedom. Okay, so please sign up if you're interested, and details are on my website. All right, well, I'm going to invite you all just to close your eyes. Coming into your body, just connecting with your breath. As you breathe in and breathe out. Just feeling that which is awake and alive and aware in the here and now. So breathing in and breathing out. Connecting to that which is awake, alive, and aware. It's the quiet, innocent presence of your being. Simply feeling the innocence that you are, the goodness that you are, the divinity that you are. Now I'm going to invite you to feel in something that's quite different than this, quite different than true nature. I want you to feel into all of your political opinions you've had for the last, say, 2 or 4 years. All the TV news you've watched, all the Twitter news and media, and all the dogma that comes with that. Political parties and affiliations. I want you to feel into, all the pain, the upset, your feelings of being upset that you've experienced when people have wronged you, wronged your egoic self. Feeling into any angst, any judgment. And just notice how it feels like when you argue with life. When you get into identity politics. You get into identity within your family system of my father, my brother, my sister, my mother should be different than how they are. Let's add your boss to that if you have a boss, the neighbor's dog. And just noticing like all the commenting you've done the last, say, 1 or 2 years. Maybe it's even just the heat of summertime, commenting on how hot it's been, or cold, or how rainy, or how this or that. We'll throw your finances in there. We'll have some fun tonight. Yeah. All the commenting on your finances and your bank account, and all this type of thing. Finances or lack of finances, so just feeling into all that. And then immediately, I'm going to invite you to step back into the one who can witness without judgment your life. The one who witnesses without judgment. The one who can witness the commentator, the commentary. And then I invite you to witness the witness, to become aware of that which is aware. To give yourself the gift of having no position on this last year, last couple years, no position on the politics of this earth. No position on your bank account, on your boss, on your family, on your children, your parents, your inner child. If you just had no position, just notice what that feels like. Feeling the spacious nature. The silence, the stillness of having no position. And already I can hear the question, well, but what about what will happen to the world? Just notice what happens to the world if you have no position. And then, we can also take on all our positions again and just notice what happens to the world. Not much. Not much. But if you're awake, if you're with me fully, if you're in the body, when you take on all these positions, you may notice you begin to suffer. As soon as you take on politics, as soon as you take on this view that the world should be different than it is, your parents, your family, your kids, your job, your finance, your living situation, you begin to suffer. Just noticing this. Giving yourself the gift, the rare gift of not having a position. If you want a position later, you can pick it up later, but not just right now, just for a couple minutes. We had no position on our finances. And if we just were, and our finances were just, just as they are, we just allowed our life to be as it is. Just feeling the space around your life. Feeling the space of your consciousness when you have no position. And then just notice the space of your consciousness when you take on like a belief in lack, a belief in unworthiness, a belief that I'm no good. Some people live with this as an idea, a belief that they are no good. Creates like a certain inner hell. But rather, if you have no beliefs about yourself and simply experience yourself as you are, you may realize, oh, this consciousness is divine, it's radiant, it's made of space, it's made of peace, it's made of light. Literally. Your consciousness is made of space and peace and light. And will you join me in this moment just in recognizing this, acknowledging this, acknowledging this. And so if you like, you can open your eyes and also keep them closed if you're enjoying that as well. But I encourage you to join me in the acknowledgement that what you fundamentally are, essentially are, beyond name and form, is a quiet, spacious radiance. The other night, I went outside, I was walking my two furry legged, I guess it's furry bodied creatures, friends. I was out walking my two furry friends. And I looked up at the sky. I saw something new. And what I saw the stars. And where I once lived in Colorado, I'd walk out at night and I'd see the Milky Way every night, pretty much every night. It's like 9 times out of 10, maybe more than that. It's like every night we just had clear skies. And where I live now, there's lots of moisture. So at night we have just these beautiful clouds and thunderheads. But last night I went out and I just looked up and the stars were just so exquisite, so vast. And my mind really expanded into space, to the direct experience of space. You know, it's just something humans don't think about. Is they don't think about space. They think about what's in space. Most of us have no experience of the spacious nature of our being. We have the experience of incessant thinking in our mind. And for many of us, we have this voice in our head, and sometimes it's an I voice. I like this, I want that. Sometimes it's a condemning voice. You are bad, you are wrong, you're dirty, you're an idiot, you're a fool. It's a crazy thing this commenting voice. Just filling the space. At all hours of the day, in the middle of the night. Filling the space with thought. What most people don't realize is the majority of thoughts we have, they arise out of some form of fear. And I learned this when I was quite young on the path, when like I was always very comfortable with silence. But because I helped my teacher with so many retreats, and we'd have people come out to Colorado. A lot of them came from New York City and Los Angeles. And my teacher, he used to live in New York and LA a long time ago. And people would come, and they'd come out into the mountains, this place far off the map in Colorado, and it was just really, really quiet. And I was always surprised. These old ladies would come with these Long Island accents, and so like their voices are kind of just stuck in my head. They just talk, constantly be talking, just jibber jabbering about absolutely nothing. It's just like random talk, just anything to fill the air. Like, it'd be, they'd walk outside of the temple or the meditation hall, and like, go, my shoes, I got to get my shoes. I have to put my shoes on. Oh, my hair, I guess what about my hair? I don't know about my hair and this humidity. It's like, what are we doing? Talking about our shoes and our hair as soon as we walk out of the temple. And then, the commenting of, oh, it's a long way down. What are we going to have for lunch? Are we going to eat lunch? What time is lunch? It's like they would often say, like, speak the things they were doing or thinking, like literally. And often when I looked at them, I just saw that there was a fear here. A fear about being in the woods, about being in nature. A fear of silence, of space. A fear of the unknown. And I can tell you this, that as like an outdoorsman, sometimes nature is scary. I actually did something really scary today. I walked out to the end of this floating dock on the ocean today. And a bunch of fishermen were out there, but it was like a boat dock. And I'd never been there before. And the ocean just looked so delicious to me. And it was really hot today. It's like 94 degrees. And I was like, I want to jump in. So I just jumped in the ocean. And, swimming around in the ocean. And when I put my hands up, like to grab the hold of the dock, and I have an injury with my right arm. It's terrible pain in my arm, and it's made my arm really weak. And I went to pull myself up, and I couldn't pull myself up. And I was going, oh boy, like here I am, just like swirling around, flailing around. And I couldn't get myself up. And my mind, went into like a little bit of a fear response of like, it's more just like, like, oh crap, like what's going on? And but my breath become a little shallow, and I was just like kept looking at this dock. And the thing about it is if I would have turned my body around, I could have saw that I could have just swam over to the shore. The shore where it was far. It wasn't too far. It was a little of a messy shore. It wasn't like a perfect beach or anything, but I could have just swam over there. But my mind became just like fixated on just like getting up. It's kind of reaching like all over this dock. And I attempted it a couple times. My arm like just wasn't working. And I'm a rock climber. I can do lots of pull-ups, like I'm pretty strong in that way, but with my arm not working, one of my arms not working, and I had to like pull myself up and then get like one arm like to an elbow like on the dock. And it was slippery too. That was the other thing. And the dock was floating, so when I pulled, it did like just this weird thing where somehow it was a lot harder to get up there because it moved like up and down and expanded and contracted as I pulled on it. And then the bottom part of it too, this was even more frightening, was like all rusty and had like a bunch of like barnacles on it. I think that's what they're called, barnacles. And I just noticed this response that my body had where it became fixated on just getting up and then maybe hollering out for help to one of the fishermen to come get me. And also just the fact that I was using a lot of energy. I keep pulling myself up and keep failing. Now, eventually, I'm just going to give myself some credit. I'm a strong guy and I made it happen. Like I pulled it off and here I am. But it's just an interesting thing what the mind does when it's in the unknown. I can say this too, I'm not a great swimmer. Like I'm not. The problem with me is like I'm someone who will just jump into any situation and just see what happens. Because a little bit like that part of my ego is broken, where most people have this thing where they're like, oh no, I'm not going to jump in there because I might end up getting stuck, in the ocean and drowned. But me, there's a fearlessness about me. But then when I need to have fear, it'll come. And it did. But I noticed like the fear response that happened in my physicality, it wasn't even so much a thought, it was more just like literally in my physicality, was that it became fixated and I just wasn't able to look around. Now, I mean, if I looked out to the left, I just would have saw the Atlantic Ocean. If I looked to the right, I would have saw the shore. Would have saw the shore. And sometimes this happens when we're having a fear response. We see there's only one way out of this. There's one way, one way. The ego gets like stuck on this thing is I have to get my way of this one way. And often that's just not the case. Like if you look around in all directions, you'll see, oh, there's a lot of ways out of here. I could have asked for help. I could have swam over to the fishermen and I could have swam to shore. I mean, hell, I could have just waded out there in the water, just like treaded water for a little bit and breathed. And then saw that, oh yeah, a couple different options. I mean, I could have waited out there for a while and boat would have pulled up and they would have saw me. And so when we're in fear, our ego thinks that there's no option, or there's only one option, the option it's fixated on. But when we get space from a situation, when we kind of step back from the situation, when we look around, we see, oh yeah, there's other possibilities here. You know, people, we do this with attachment. Like we're in a relationship, this person is the one. Now I can tell you in my lifetime, I'm not that old, but in my lifetime, I've fallen in love with the one 10 times. And so it's like, what really is the one? You know, they're the one right now. But I mean, I've had probably 10 long-term committed relationships that I thought this is the one. And when the relationship ended, well, they had enough of me. It's really funny because, you know, I was so attached to this one individual. And it's like that all I could see was like, this is the only girl on planet Earth that could work out for me. And I am very happy that I was wrong all of those times. I'm very happy that, you know, that life moved me on in a different direction. I'm very, very happy that I was wrong all of those times. And I mean, it might have been right in the beginning. It was right in the beginning, but it was wrong in the end. And I'm happy that the one, that one is a better way to say it, didn't work out. But again, like these ways our mind gets attached to things. Like we get attached to people, we get attached to views about ourselves. Again, some people hate themselves. It's like, that's a crazy view to be attached to. Just constantly, persistently attacking oneself, telling yourself, I'm no good, I'm no good, I'll never find love. Bad things always happen to me. I'm the worst. I have the worst luck. Nobody loves me. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Just like the way people talk to themselves. And the fact that like this ongoing commentary, like negative commentary, has become our most dominant way of being. Like that is absolutely crazy. You know, to have a voice in your head that's attacking your own self. Your own self. My God, like I just imagine it being different. Imagine a voice in your head. You're such a good person. I love you so much. I believe in you. I have faith in you. You can do this. Like when I was really struggling out there to get up, like to pull myself up this boat dock, you know, there's a moment I said, like I can do this. I can do it. And like what the reality was is I was failing again and again and again. Like I kept pulling up and I kept failing, literally. And my arm just kept giving out. It's like a really strange injury I have, and that's but I just chose to believe. That's my truth, is to believe in myself, to believe in my strength, to believe in my will, to believe in my ability to make life work out. And I can tell you it's just a much more sane way to live. It's a much more happy way to live. Like after I got out, you know, I didn't say, gosh, Craig, that was stupid, you idiot, Craig. Like, I didn't say that. Like, when I got out, I just laughed. I was like, wow, that was something. That was something. And you see, like, that's one of the things my teacher told me is like when he taught about commentary, he's like, what if your commentary was simply one word? Wow. He's like, wow to life. And, we used to play with that. We used to just play with just saying wow to everything. Something great happened, wow. Something bad happened, wow. Something, mundane happened, wow. Like just wow. It's like, what even does wow mean? It's just like when you're in reality, when you're awake in reality, it's kind of how life is. It's just like, wow. Like right now, I live in a place where there's a lot of people. I'm like, wow, look at all these people. Wow. Wow. And when I lived on the edge of the desert, it was like, wow, there's nobody out here. It's just like, wow. Like in the wowness of life, can everything be okay? In the what isness of life, everything is okay. It is okay. I've been in the desert before and ran out of water. Like, wow, I'm so thirsty. But where a lot of people would go, like, they wouldn't say, wow, I'm so thirsty. They'd say, I'm going to die. I've run out of water. Oh my God, this is bad. This is terrible. It's like, man, just keep walking. Just keep walking. Keep walking, but complaining and commenting on it. Like when we worry, it burns up so much energy and creates a hell realm within us. It creates a hell realm within us. Like this, like the hell realm, I cannot live without this person. It's like, hey man, you're living without this person. They're not here. Like you're making it happen. You are living. Like living is happening. And part of being awake, all of being awake is you living in reality, you being aligned with reality. You're not arguing with reality. Not arguing with it. Not arguing with reality. But again, like keep in mind, I'm not saying you need to stay in a reality that's terrible. Like sometimes we have terrible parents. Like I've met some folks in other countries where they don't move out of the house until they get married. It's like, hey man, like you're 26. Like if you don't like mom, move out. Like move out, like move out of that house. You're 26 years old. And if I was 26 and lived with my mom, I'd be pulling my hair out. And I love my mom. I love my mom, but me and my dad, we wouldn't have been able to stay in the same house together. It's just like if you're in a bad situation, you leave. But we don't have to continue replaying it in our head over and over. Like come into a new reality and be in a new reality and help. Like if your inner child is stuck in the past, bring the child into the present and soothe it, nurture it, compassionately embrace it. Get it out of the past. Get it out of the past. I think where I was going when I was speaking earlier about the stars was life is made of space. When you connect to space, you experience immense freedom. When you connect to like incessant and persistent thoughts, like a bunch of thoughts all together in your head, just like a constant thought stream. There's no freedom. There's a hell in that. But if you step back and look at the nature of your mind, and the nature of the universe is predominantly space. Like the closest galaxy to us is like 2.5 million light years away. You should think about how much space that is, the closest galaxy. And there's trillions of galaxies. The closest one is 2.5 million light years away. Like this world is just made of space, not full of space, is space. Is space. The nature of your consciousness, the nature of your being is space. But if we identify as a name, as a form, as just like this continual flow of thoughts, identify with these thoughts, saying these thoughts are what I am. No, what you are is that which witnesses the thoughts, witnesses feelings. But if you turn around and witness the witness, you see the witness is made of space. Space and light and intelligence and love and radiance is what we are. You take these things out of you and you're dead. You're dead. So anyways, if anyone has a question, you can bring it forward. There's a couple questions that were emailed in. And so I'll get to the first one here. Hi, Craig. A few weeks ago, I released a lot of emotions that kept me stuck. Yesterday, my superego showed up at the crack of dawn. It was gunning the engine of a Dodge Charger, pumped up on steroids in a dream, relentlessly bombarding me with those old voices from childhood abuse. You're pathetic, you're stupid, loser, ugly, evil, with an immense force. Since then, there's a feeling of explosive rage in my physical form, like the little girl inside of me is wild with it and pounding on the walls. Also, a limitless feeling of grief. I welcome any insight you have here regarding loving kindness, the superego, and a hurting inner child. So the teaching tonight was about stepping back, just stepping back into space and witnessing. Witnessing the pain, to see the unreality of it, to see that you are safe now, that childhood is no longer happening, to get yourself into reality. Now, for most of us, when we wake up and we have like this type of intense pain in our body, witnessing it alone does not heal. And so I'm going to poke a hole in the teaching I offered earlier. And so when there is intense pain and trauma, when there is a voice in our head saying, you're stupid, you're pathetic, you're a loser, you're ugly, what I encourage anyone to do if you notice a voice like that is to step back, but with great compassion. See if you can locate that voice in your body. Like, where do you feel that voice? Like, where's the root of that? So this is a voice of superego in this case. Normally it's internalized voice of a parent, who called us these things. And then to put a face on that voice, just to see, like, just to sit back with compassion and just allow yourself to be open and just to imagine the face of your superego. Now, in a voice like this, there's a good chance you'd see mom or dad, whoever called us these things. But there's also a possibility that we'd see like a demonic face, like an angry face, or maybe even we'd see our own face, like as a teenage girl in this situation, who internalized their parents' voice and hated themselves. And say you saw, like the teenage girl's face. And again, if we're witnessing with compassion, like if I saw my daughter calling herself stupid, I would embrace her with love, kindness. And so we embrace this aspect of our being with love, with kindness. We breathe more deeply into the pain, but also to see that there's space here for this pain to unravel. And so the second part of this is, so there's judgment here. There's an internalized voice of judgment. But then there's this feeling of explosive rage. And, like if you call yourself stupid and ugly for a long time, or if anyone called you stupid or ugly, I would expect you to feel some rage or some anger. And so we want to allow for that. We want to allow for the rage and the anger. We want to allow fully for that feeling to flow, right? To really let it flow. Spiritual people hate rage. I love rage, by the way. It's one of my favorite things to work with because it's so powerful. And it's the willingness to feel the heat, the rawness, the intensity of rage. But it's so important that we don't believe the thoughts that go with the rage. This is unfair. This shouldn't have happened. I hate them. I want to kill them. I want to destroy them. I have to make them pay. I have to make them suffer. I'm going to get them. Here's how I'm going to get them. Planning your revenge or whatever. Like as soon as we go into thought, it actually slows down the healing process. But if you simply feel the heat and the fire and the intensity of rage, and you feel it fully, like all the cells of your being lit up with rage, if you feel it fully, that rage will not be limitless. That rage will burn off. And it may take a couple hours, a couple days. It takes just a couple minutes. If you feel it fully, without judging it, without wanting it to be different, just allowing it fully to be here to experience rage fully. Like you let yourself be a firecracker and explode. But what if you exploded just energetically and didn't go into any of the thoughts of rage? It's allowing the explosiveness of rage to flow through you. It'll burn off. It will. And what you'll find under that rage, like this is called dropping through the emotions, tantric practice. So you stay out of thoughts up in the head. You just drop through the emotions. So rage is down in the belly. And what you find on the other side of rage, it's probably great sadness. And so then the question is, can we do the exact same thing with this sadness? And sadness will tell us, oh, it's limitless grief. It'll go on forever. I can't handle this. This is too much. This is unfair. I don't like it. But what if we just didn't do any of that? What if we just felt the sadness and cried and cried and cried and cried? If it's one thing I could be a professional at, it's crying. It's just like I could just cry and cry and cry. Um, I cry a lot. Like life is crazy and it's wild and it's intense and uh, yes. Sometimes I just see like there's this kid at like a little boy who comes to jujitsu. He's in the class before me, and sometimes I show up early and help out with the kids class. And it's a kid who just he just misbehaves, and he's just doing it constantly to try to get the attention of the professor, the teacher, and he's always just getting in trouble. And I can just see this kid, he just wants attention. He wants love. He wants male attention. I don't know if his dad's around or what, but he's wanting attention. He's wanting to be seen. He's wanting to be acknowledged. He might just have spent too much time in daycare or preschool or whatever. And I just have like this sadness for this kid. So I give him a little extra attention. I give him extra smiles. Sometimes I feel like I just literally have tears for him, for that ache in his heart that he's not able to feel fully. And so it comes out in his behavior. But people think if they experience rage, they'll go crazy, they'll go mad. And it's possible. And if you experience sadness, people often feel like, oh, if I go there, I'll break. Like a lot of men are just terrified of crying. It's like, dude, what do you think is going to actually happen? You're just going to cry, and then you're going to feel lighter, and then like you get on with your day. A lot of times you think so much more clearly after you felt the fullness of your rage and drop through it, and you feel the fullness of your sadness, and you realize, oh yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. They're okay. I think I need to go apologize to that person because I see that I hurt them and they hurt me. And gosh, like it's okay. It's okay. But our superego, it has this defense in it. This is, don't feel that because it will overwhelm you and you'll break. You'll snap. You go off the deep end. And you have to be willing to trust your heart, that your heart is big enough, is strong enough, is compassionate enough to face this fear of limitless grief. And if you do this just like a couple of times, you're going to realize, oh yeah, everything the ego tells me that is like never ending and always and forever, like everything has an end. Like all pain has an end. All of it. All sadness has an end. All rage has an end. It just feels limitless. When it feels limitless, we have to know how to translate what the ego is telling us. That means there's a lot there. Like when people are addicted to a substance, if you're like, oh my God, I'll be addicted forever. It's not true. It's not true what they say in AA. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. It's like, it's not true. It's not true. An addict can heal. You and I can heal. Emotions are simply energy that's stuck. And once it empties out of us, it's no longer stuck. Our mind, our consciousness reorganizes in a different way. Now, sometimes this takes a long time. And when it does, that means the habit is deep within us, it's persistent, but it also just means something different, like from the perspective of, if you look at your spiritual path, when something takes a long time, God is teaching you about unconditional love, unconditional strength, unconditional power, unconditional freedom, unconditional. Like if we're going to be free, our love, our consciousness has to be unconditional. So that which is conditional is needing some time to burn off. There's just a lot of it. Like I had guilt in me. That was one of my biggest things I tripped over, guilt, and it was persistent. I have an Irish Catholic background and a lot of guilt with the Irish Catholics. A lot of guilt in there, in that collective consciousness. And so I needed some time to burn off. I just kept sitting with it, and guilt was like a frozen emotion. Sat with it for years. And finally it began to thaw and break. And under it was great sadness. I felt the great, great sadness that was under the guilt. And then as that broke, as the sadness broke, I experienced immense beauty everywhere. Like who would have thought? through working with guilt and sadness, one would discover just immense beauty and innocence. I had no idea, but I like to look. I like to jump in, dangerous places and just see what happens. But keep in mind, this is only dangerous according to the ego. It's not really dangerous to face your fears, face guilt, face sadness. And so, often we don't believe that our heart has what it takes to heal. But that could be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't believe in your heart, you get stuck in unworthiness. Whereas if you believe in your heart, then you're intimately connected with the resources that you need. Like if you don't believe in yourself, that's a recipe to be depressed. If you do believe in yourself, that's a recipe to heal and to awaken, to move beyond the limited into the limitless. Like as a kid, I knew I was going to be enlightened in this lifetime. I knew it. I said it. I just demanded it of myself, of God, of life. Just it was non-negotiable. And I can remember when I met some Buddhist teacher and they told me, well, after 10,000 lifetimes, if you really clear all your karma, then you can be free. It's like 10,000 lifetimes. What are you talking about? Are you crazy? 10,000. I don't know how many I've had, but I don't think I've had 10,000. Like this is way too long. We're setting the bar, like the expectations is like way too far in the future. The bar way too high or too low, however that works. But setting it in the wrong direction. Let's set it for right here and right now, that it is possible for you, because you are a child of God. You are made of God. You are God. Why would God have to wait 10,000 lifetimes to wake up to herself? That's crazy. I think it's a terrible teaching. Expect it now. Believe in yourself fully. Believe in what you are. And again, I'm not telling you to believe in your ego. I'm telling you to believe in your truth, your divinity, your blessedness, your heart. Okay. All right, let's hear from Matthew. Matthew, are you here?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
How about now?
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I like that shirt. That's a pretty rock and roll shirt.
Thanks. my favorite shirt.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, great to be here. I've got a lot of fear energy in my body.
Yeah, about what?
Well, I kind of ramped my meditations up. So I started going a lot longer.
Yeah.
And yesterday, I had this really like kind of a big opening, I guess. But it wasn't so pleasant. It was just like a lot of energy, like fear and terror. And I'm just bringing that forward
Yeah. So that fear and that terror, what does it want from you?
to run.
It wants to run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, we can play with that a number of different ways. I mean, one way is just to let it run and to trust that, oh, there's this energy in me and it just needs to run and run and run and run and run and run and run.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll run itself out.
Right. Yeah. I've just been been like sitting here and just being present with it and holding space. And then there just becomes so much terror. I find myself in the mind
Yeah.
just because it's like really hard to be present with that much intense terror.
Yeah. Well, if you go into your mind, what do you do up in your mind?
Just kind of like loop a little.
Like what kind of loop? Just hanging out in
Like
thoughts?
this person will take the terror away, this circumstance will take the terror away, just like trying to find a solution to the terror.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. And so if we play that game, that'll just prolong it.
Right.
But let's look at that dance. Like so one thing I'll just say about the prolonging part, like part of me was like where do you live, in Montana or somewhere?
I'm in Tulum, Mexico.
Oh, you're in Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay, they might have this in Mexico, but were you in Montana before?
Yeah, at our last retreat.
Okay. Yeah. And so in Montana, have you ever seen a big diesel truck with like a sticker across the top that says something like "Get her done"?
Yeah.
Yeah, you seen one of those? They might have that in Mexico too. But like there's part of me that just said, okay, like if I hang out my mind, like I'm just going to be like distracting and this is going to take forever.
Right.
If I just jump into this, it's like, let's just get her done. Just like, let's just get her done. Just be with this.
It seems to take a lot of effort for me to be present with it, like a lot
Yeah.
of willpower to
Okay.
have the
Okay.
focus.
So two things there. When you're going into your mind, like when you're looping, what's the need what's the need that you have? What do you get out of looping in your mind? Like, what does it give you? Like if you said it in a positive way, I hang
Like
out here because it gives me
a break.
a break. Okay. So a break is completely synonymous with the first teaching tonight, which was about spaciousness. So when you go up into your head and we're just like looping and just like da, 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 gives you a break. What a break really is, like a true break comes from the direct experience of space. And so it's good to know this. It's good to like know, what is my ego doing? What is it wanting? What is it needing? And again, like these are compassionate questions. So instead of judging the ego, we look at it and say, what am I doing through going up here? And like people do the same thing, like with TV, like, what do you do? What's happening? What need is being addressed when you're watching TV? Oh, I'm spacing out. Okay, I must need space. I must need space. And so can you give yourself some space? some space? Or can you acknowledge the space that's here? Can you find some way to connect to space? So that's one thing. But then the question is can we connect to space with the terror? Because one of the things that I noticed within my own self when terror was arising within me, I said, okay, terror is here. There's terror here. There's so much terror, 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 terror. It's just like screaming in every cell of my body with terror. But I also noticed every cell in my body was happening, was arising in space. Like there must be space here already for this terror. Like things cannot arise unless there's space. Like if there's no space, nothing can arise. And so when we begin to understand this, we begin to see this, when we begin to acknowledge, oh, there's space here, there's space in my head, but there's also space around the terror. Now I began to discover something interesting when I looked at terror, like the texture of terror directly. Like I feel it now, like I can invoke like some terror. Terror is not really in my experience anymore, but I can invoke it. And like the scream of terror, within the scream itself is space. Just like within every thought. Like every thought is made of space. Every feeling is made of space. Like if you just look at it like head on, you see like even pain, like my arm's in a lot of pain right now. Like when I look at the pain directly, I see pain is not really like this. It's more like this. There's space in pain. There's space in terror. When I begin to see that, feel that, it really loosens it up. Yeah. And then I have more, like I don't need to run away from it.
Right.
I don't need to run away. So you with me on this?
Yeah, I'm just allowing myself to receive more space.
Yeah, to receive more space. I need space. And then if you feel like the energy of terror, it's like the pure energy of it, not the thoughts that come with it, but the pure energy of it. Like terror is just like,
yeah,
but it's just like a lot of energy that's just like shaking.
right.
Just a lot of energy that's shaking. And when you really wake up and you look around at the universe, you see like the whole universe is just kind of shaking. Yeah. You know, the spiritual word for it is radiating. And that's all terror is. It's just like just energy that's shaking. Now we could ask you a real practical question. Is there anything dangerous here right now? Like anything you need to be terrified of?
No.
No. And if we're awake to this, like there is no actual danger. So what is happening? There's energy in me that's shaken like this, and it wants to run. And it's made of space. It's made of, you know, the other thing fear is made of, it's made of space. It's made of light. It's made of intelligence. And the intelligence of fear is run, 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 run. But again, like you don't have any reason to run. So you just let the energy run. You let it run through you. And as you begin to intimately get to know this thing that you're calling fear, you might discover, oh, wait a minute, like this isn't fear. This isn't terror. This is actually just a raging energy of life.
Yeah, it feels like a fire.
Say it again.
Like a fire.
Like a fire. Yeah. And Kundalini, like you know, like you're doing this, like Kundalini often is just like that. It's just pure fire, pure light, pure immensity. And again, like when our ego first wakes up to it, it's like, whoa, 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 this is way too much. But if you just experience the fire purely, it's quite liberating. It's quite invigorating. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. There is an aspect of appreciation for the fire here as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, eventually, like the appreciation will really become a thing where it's like, oh, I love this to such a degree that there's no distance between it and you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's no problem.
Right.
Then
Right.
there's no problem. But I'm going to invite you just to play with it and just see, like, what if I don't call it terror? What if I just call it light?
I like that. That's really helpful.
Yeah. 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 So you play with this, because with like what fear really is like, if there's no actual danger, it's just excitement. And it's excitement is just energy that's on fire. It's
Yeah.
fire. It's a lot of light. And again, at first, I mean, we can have a little compassion for the nervous system. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But you know, if you soften and you trust and you open and you play with it a little bit, and you see like, whoa, like, all right, what if I just keep riding this whoa out and just see what it is? And it's all this fire, and you don't go in your head, because in the head, it's like, this is too much. I can't handle this. I don't like it. I don't understand it. I can't control it.
Right.
And all those things are true from the perspective of ego. The ego cannot control the immensity of the light that's flowing through you. It's
Right.
absolutely true.
Yeah.
But if you stay rooted in that, like, I can't control this, because the ego has an inherent thought, I need to control whatever it is I don't understand. It's like, then you're arguing with reality. But you say, no, I don't want to live my ego. Let's step into this bigger thing. Let's be.
Underneath all the thoughts is this mechanism of just wanting to control.
Yeah.
It does have that experience. Like, I'm no match for this fire. Like, that aspect is just like,
Yeah. Yeah. So this is absolutely true. I am no match for this fire. Like, that's absolutely true. The ego's no match for it. But on the flip side, if you jump into the fire and let it burn you to death, you realize, oh, I am this fire. Like, I am this fire. I am the fire. And when you realize, oh, I'm the fire. And it's this hilarious joke. It's like, oh, I am this hugeness of life. Yeah, I'm not that little thing. I'm not that little thing. And so sometimes we have to be a little crazy and just let the fire burn up the ego. Another way is just through love, is just holding the ego and just letting know, hey man, like, you're safe. Like, just, you're safe. It's okay.
yeah.
We don't need to fight with this. It's just something really big. And, you know, like in a real healthy way, like, again, I talk about this a lot, but like the people who go on those shows like American Idol, want to be a star, it's just like their ego is wanting to be this huge star. And if we allow the ego to die into being a star, I don't mean a narcissist, but like a real star, just like realizing your gift and your light and your brilliance and your divinity, it's like, oh yeah, that's what I am. I'm this hugeness. I'm not this little thing. I am this hugeness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, good to
Yeah.
see you, Matthew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have fun in Mexico for me, will you?
Thanks so much for the transmission. It's very helpful. I really appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Okay. Let's hear from Chrissy. And then I think I got one email question, and then I think we'll be done after that. Let's see. Chrissy, you here?
Hi, Craig.
Hi, good to see you.
You too. Can you talk about choice, please?
Yeah, I mean, In what way?
I had recently been on holiday with my family, and I felt triggered, but I realized that I had a lot more choice in that I could see that I was triggered. I stayed with the feelings. And then I realized I just had this choice how much I stayed there with the feelings.
Yeah.
And I had this choice to just, feel into the space around me and choose not to identify, and also to choose to love my mom, even though it was the trauma energy that had come up.
Yeah.
And I recognized that I could have felt really traumatized and just stuck with it. But
Yeah.
there was just this feeling of this realization that I had a lot more choice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. The thing about choice is, if we are, let's say, a spiritual child on the path, we don't think we have any choice. But as we mature on the path into, say, being a spiritual adult, we realize, oh no, I have the choice of how to respond, what to think, what to feel, what to experience, how to be. And there's great power in that. There's great freedom in that. One of my teachers, he used to say, you have to take total responsibility for your life. And when I first heard that, I was quite young. I was like, 21 or 22, made me so angry. I said, why would I take responsibility for all the things that have happened to me? And so I really resisted this teaching of taking responsibility for my life. And I wanted to continue to blame, my mother, my father, the geopolitics of planet Earth. It was like just arguing with, just these great forces outside of my control. And the more I did so, it just had me stuck in being a victim, stuck being a child. But when I realized, oh, I have the choice. And again, like this awakens mostly in the solar plexus and then later more fully in the hara. But I have the choice to respond with love, with kindness, with compassion. I have the choice to forgive. It's like when one really steps into one's spiritual autonomy and power. It's a huge thing. And if anyone wants to be free, like people think about freedom as God gives you, or life gives you this gift of freedom. And it happens for a lot of people. Sometimes people come to satsang, they experience this gift of freedom. But if you don't choose freedom, it does not stick. It doesn't stick. Like your ego will just come back online and say, oh, this is too much. I can't do it. I need to go see Adyashanti or Eckhart Tolle, or I need to go to India. I need to have this powerful experience of grace again. But at some point, God says, hey, you need to start working for this. You need to start putting your money where your mouth is. You need to start choosing me, choosing truth over choosing unreality. In fact, like the ego mechanism will just continue on to infinity unless at some point we put our foot down in the sand and say, no more. I'm choosing to love. I'm choosing to be sane. I can remember I was in a very insane relationship. And whenever I got distance from the person, I would say, oh my God, like this person is crazy. What am I doing? I'm choosing to be done with this. This is before like cell phones. So I would write the person a long letter telling them I am choosing to be done. Now people do this on a text message. Hey, I'm done. But they write a long letter, say, here's the letter, I'm done. I'd hand them that. And then, you know, immediately the person would begin seducing me with their thoughts, you know, with the toxicity, blaming me, attacking me, you know, and I would just give into it. I'd give into fighting with them. And then next thing you know, like I was back in relationship with this crazy person. And I saw I just gave my power away whenever I was with them. And finally, I just had to say, like, I am choosing to leave them and to never go back ever. Ever. So when you choose, you take your power back from life. When you don't choose, you give all your power to life, you give all your power to your unconsciousness. And you get yourself in all kinds of trouble. As if we don't discover our power of choice on the path, we will never be free in an abiding way. Like literally never be free. And so often we're wanting someone else to do the path for us, wanting someone else to love us, someone else to heal us, someone else to take care of us. And just as God made Jesus carry the cross, it's like we have a cross that we must carry. We must choose to meet that cross with kindness, with compassion, with love, with strength, with power, with truth. With truth. And so it's a beautiful thing when you begin to see this. Oh yeah, like I can choose to love my mother. I can choose to love myself. Like especially when dealing with trauma, like sometimes we have to love multiple inner children. You know, our inner child who's hurt, who's wounded. We have to choose to love the critic within us. We have to choose to love the guarded one or the reactionary one. To choose to love the one who wants to revolt. And if someone's attacking us or upsetting us, it's like, what if I choose to love them too? And there's a freedom in it. But it's like, oh, I can love the person who's offending me. Like there's this quality of strength and freedom that comes like a noble strength. You know, people call it rising above, but a lot of times rising above is bullshitting ourselves or transcending. But when we truly rise above, there's like a noble strength that comes online within us where we're connected to this greater level of strength and clarity and love and freedom where we can love ourselves and the one who harmed us. And it's only then that we'll truly begin to heal and truly begin to experience freedom in a profound way. Like in a sense, like if anyone's actually going to heal, like we have to choose to put down our story of what happened. And we have to choose to pick up our pain and meet it with compassion. We have to choose to stay with it until it's fully healed. We have to choose to breathe through the difficulty, the sadness, the guilt, the anger, the rage, the jealousy. We have to choose to be here now fully. And again, if we don't choose the truth, well, life will just suck us back into our habitual way of being. So anyways, well, Chrissy, thank you so much for bringing this forward. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
What you spoke and how you shared. This is something that's often forgot about. We just want life to do it for us. And we really stagnate on the path unless we begin to choose the light.
Yeah, and I think what happened was I realized I didn't want to ruin my holiday, and if I held on to these shit feelings, it would have fucked up the last 4 days, and I was on holiday. So there was this feeling of, you know what, do I want to be right? Do I want to prove my point, or do I want peace? So that was kind of what did it. And along with it came this feeling of this kind of radical acceptance of this, do you know what? I'm just going to accept it. I'm going to accept the imperfection. I'm going to accept the past. I'm going to accept that it's imperfect now. And there was this kind of freedom with it.
Yeah. And I mean, my God, if we are on holiday with our family, like we better, if we're going to have a good time, we have to accept that they're imperfect, we're imperfect, life's imperfect, it's just, this whole world's imperfect. So if we want to suffer, don't accept any of it, just like blame them, judge them, attack them, then be victimized by them. It's like, we create our own hell realm, or we just ruin our vacation. It's, and so it's a funny thing that it's just like, I just want to have a nice holiday, and so I'm going to accept. I'm going to accept everything is as it is. I'm going to accept everything as it is. One of the gifts of being on vacation is that it often it just creates a sense of spaciousness in our life, in our schedule, and then sometimes just things come online. Like if you give anyone a little bit of time in silence, or a little bit of space, or disrupt someone's schedule, get them out of their home, it's like sometimes just new aspects of being come online. And it's a beautiful thing that you saw this. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Just going to do one more email question. It's a question someone wrote in, and I apologize, I didn't write the names down on these, but here's a question. Once a person has been awakened spontaneously by Kundalini, what is the ultimate goal of this awakening? Is the goal to allow the divine energy to fully integrate into our bodies? Yes. Is it important to experience strong energies in meditation in order to fully integrate the Kundalini? Is it important? Listen, if there's energy here, it's meant to be felt. So whether it's Kundalini, whether it's emotion, whether it's grief, whether it's joy, whatever's here is meant to be felt and fully accepted and embraced. What about those of us who hadn't experienced any access to higher realms and still feel grounded? What should we strive to attain from Kundalini awakening? So look, with Kundalini, I wouldn't strive to attain anything. Spiritual awakening it's all about listening to the intelligence of God. And so if God is coming to you in the form of Kundalini, you listen to it, you open to it, you feel it, you let it teach you from the inside out. If God is coming to you in the form of pain and sadness and grief, you listen to it, you open to it, you experience it, you see what's on the other side of it. And it's crazy, like something with grief. When you open to grief, you discover immense tenderness, compassion, innocence, and freedom on the other side of it. When you open to Kundalini, you experience intense freedom and joy and intensity and immensity on the other end of these big, powerful experiences of fear or sadness or raging energy. I mean, basically what any big experience does is it breaks down the walls of ego and shows what you are beyond ego, beyond the walls. And so with Kundalini specifically, it's God coming into the physical form of the human body God becoming manifest in matter, in form. That's one of the things it does. It also takes one into cosmic consciousness. And if you haven't had the experience of cosmic consciousness yet, just wait. Just wait and listen and open. And it will take you to all types of places based on what it's wanting to teach you and show you in this lifetime. For each person, it is unique due to one's karma and what God's wanting to teach you and to show you. And so there's no should about it. The only should is, it's like, listen to what's here. Listen to what life is showing you. Listen to what life is dropping in your lap. Let God show you what the truth is. Let your experience show you what the truth is. You don't need to compare your experience to mine or to your neighbors or something you read online or something you read in a book by some great guru. Just let God show you in the intimacy of your own experience. Okay. I think that's probably a good place to end. So nice to be with each of you. Please sign up for the retreat if you feel called for that, called to that. It'll be quite powerful like the last ones have been. I guarantee it. I'll just speak on behalf of God. Like, when we come together in this way, big things happen. So anyways, so much love and respect to each of you. Good night, everyone. See you soon.